Live from ABC7, this is News at 5.
And what I'm telling you is true. I've never seen a human being lie so much.
Presidential hopefuls taking aim at each other just days ahead of the South Carolina primaries.
I want to tear down all the barriers that hold back Americans across racial lines.
And trying to nab voters, hitting on big issues in the state. We're getting you more.
Plus, should this cost more than this? We're getting you more on why women are paying extra for the so-called pink tax.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for watching ABC7. I'm Christina Cavrilla.
And I'm Rob Evans. Thanks for waking up with us on this Wednesday morning. And over the past 24 hours, we had a tornado touchdown. We had a lot of tornado warnings, and now we've got beautiful weather. Welcome to Southwest Florida, right, Cody Murphy?
Yeah, that's right. That's what they say. If you don't like the weather at the moment in Southwest Florida, just wait 10 minutes and it'll change. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Severe storms ripped through Southwest Florida, and then by lunchtime, sunshine around Southwest Florida. Much quieter today. Look at your Storm 7 live Doppler radar. Just a couple of clouds hanging around. And temperatures a little cooler, too. Right now, we're in the mid to upper 50s. Some of us in the 60s. Not a bad morning at all. 59 Fort Myers, 61 in Naples. Heads up, we do have some fog already being picked up north of the Caloosahatchee River this morning, so we'll take a look at that coming up here in this half hour. Look at your planner, though. 60s at 9 o'clock, upper 60s by lunchtime. We'll top out at a very comfortable mid-70s this afternoon. ABC7 is the place you get your forecast every 10 minutes, and coming up, we'll take a look at the temperatures expected today.
My campaign is really about breaking every barrier.
The African American community is suffering even more.
ABC7 is your election authority, and the battle continues for support in early voting states.
Democratic candidates working hard right now for the minority vote, stomping in Flint, Michigan, South Carolina, with their messages of equality.
ABC's Cecilia Vega gets us more.
Hillary Clinton implying racism is behind the threat to block President Obama's Supreme Court nomination.
Some are even saying he doesn't have the right to nominate anyone, as if somehow he's not the real president. You know, that's in keeping what we've heard all along, isn't it? Many Republicans talk in coded racial language about takers and losers. They demonize President Obama and encourage the ugliest impulses of the paranoid fringe. This kind of hatred and bigotry has no place in our politics or our country.
Clinton and Bernie Sanders with their eye on the same prize, the African American vote.
You can't just show up at election time and say the right things and think that's enough.
But her speech nearly derailed by a coughing fit that went on more than 4 minutes.
Too much to say.
Sanders tending a prayer breakfast in South Carolina.
If we didn't dream, does anybody here think that we'd have an African American as president of the United States today?
And a day earlier in Michigan, where they're struggling with that water crisis in Flint, Sanders with another appeal to black voters.
Well, if we can rebuild villages in Iraq and Afghanistan, we can damn well rebuild Flint, Michigan.
Cecilia Vega reported there. Meanwhile, Republican candidates taking aim at each other just days ahead of the South Carolina Republican primaries. Marco Rubio taking on Ted Cruz at a campaign rally.
Ted voted for Rand Paul's budget, which reduced defense spending. I'm not going to do that when I'm president.
Now, Ted Cruz taking on Donald Trump, meanwhile, on the South Carolina battlefront.
When radical Islamic terrorists wage jihad on the United States of America, the answer is not to tweet insults at them.
And then Donald Trump and President Obama in a war of words as well.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president. And the reason is because I have a lot of faith in the American people.
This man has done such a bad job. He has set us back so far. And for him to say that actually is a great compliment, if you want to know the truth.
Trump and John Kasich have town halls tonight on MSNBC at Trump at 8, Kasich at 7. The South Carolina Republican primary, by the way, is this Saturday.
Let's see more right now. The South Carolina primaries are split. It's a closed primary, so Republicans will vote on Saturday in South Carolina, while Democrats caucus in Nevada. And then Republicans will caucus on the 23rd, and Democrats will make their way to the polls in South Carolina on the 27th.
It's morning again in America.
take a look. This is Marco Rubio's New America campaign ad released over the weekend. The only problem, the footage is shown is of the harbor in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. The Rubio campaign responded saying, quote, "We're not going to make Canada an issue in this election," perhaps alluding to Cruz being born in that country and Trump's threat of a lawsuit over his eligibility. We may not be seeing these ads in Southwest Florida just yet, but they're popping up all over the country. And the big question this election season is, where is the focus for these ads? Rob?
Well, we decided to do a little bit of a digging. One of the biggest demographics for politicians, the millennial vote. It helped push Bernie Sanders over the edge in New Hampshire. So where do the younger people get their information? Let's get you more.
Everybody used to get their information on the news, and now it's all over social media.
The instant information overload coming to millennials through social media and the internet.
Mostly through social media, Twitter, Facebook, other forums, and television as well, CNN. I've always had a great interest in politics, so I do keep up with it, but having the social media there makes it a lot easier too.
But how do millennials or anybody really tell the difference between what's real and fake on the internet?
It's hard to tell. I mean, you know, this candidate says something about that one. You never know what's true or not.
Thinking can be difficult, but I think the correct information is definitely out there. I think just check your sources. You know, at the bottom of every article, there's typically a bibliography where, you know, where they got the information. Just click that. It's one extra click. You can check, you know, who funded the article, who funded the research.
While the presidential race is the biggest election on the November ballot, locally voters will also weigh in on several other topics. One of those, the Lee County Conservation Land Program. It began in 1996 and was supposed to last only 7 years. Over the past 20 years, nearly 25,000 acres of land has been conserved using more than $300 million taxpayer dollars.
Well, there are two issues on the state ballot this year. Amendment 1 would give people in Florida the right to own or lease equipment that produces solar energy for personal use. Now, this amendment being sponsored by big power companies, including Florida Power and Light. Then there's Amendment 2 there. That would legalize medical marijuana. That same amendment on the ballot back in 2014, it failed to get the necessary 60% of votes to pass.
ABC7 following breaking news at 5:07 for you this morning. We've been monitoring a scene out in Buckingham all night with lots of deputies on scene there. It's on Buckingham Road and Cemetery Road. A lot of you reached out to us about this morning, wondering what's going on. The roads were closed for most of the night, but it is now back open. We do have a crew out there to find more information for you. So stay with ABC7 this morning as we learn more. A North Fort Myers man wanted and on the run.
But it could take quite some time to catch up with him.
I'm a foreign volunteer in the YPG in Rojava, Kurdistan, otherwise known as Northern Syria.
We hear from a local guy now fighting ISIS in the Middle East.
But we are already seeing a little bit of fog. Live look up in Punta Gorda, you can see the haze there off in the distance. Temperatures right now comfortable in the mid-50s. Looks like this afternoon, once this fog lifts, should be another beautiful day in Southwest Florida. Of course, we'll talk about how warm we'll get coming up in 10 minutes.
5:11 right now. New details this morning on a Lee County man wanted by the sheriff's deputies. Take a look at Patrick Kasprick, wanted for battery on a law enforcement officer, but now he looks like this. He tells us he fled the U.S. to join the fight against ISIS in northern Syria. Kasprick has been training as a medic and says he's going to eventually work in a hospital, and he knows at some point he may have to take up arms against ISIS, which he calls Daesh. It's a derogatory term for the terrorist group.
I read much of the history of the Kurdish fight for independence throughout the last century, and soon came to learn of the YPG and their ideology of self-government and women's liberation, which is totally unique for the Middle East.
Kasprick says other Westerners are there with them. A lot of people motivated by the Paris attacks. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says it is going forward with its investigation of Kasprick.
It could get a lot easier to book a flight to Cuba. The federal government is now accepting applications for commercial flights to Cuba. Right now, only charter flights are allowed, but now the federal government will allow regularly scheduled commercial flights. Travel agents say demand for flights to Cuba from Southwest Florida has skyrocketed ever since Choice Air stopped offering charter flights in November.
More than 50% the demand that we have is to Cuba. The flights to Cuba are very expensive. Maybe this will help to bring those flights down.
The CEO of Choice Air tells us he's not sure yet if he will apply. While most major airlines will apply, they won't know what airports the flights will be leaving from until the government approves travel plans.
You have to remember to compare apples to apples, and we do women's shirts for the same price as men's if they meet the criteria.
But is it always so black and white? Coming up, we're getting you more on the so-called pink tax. It's 5:13. .14, and we're having a much nicer morning today
since yesterday.
as you head out.
Hectic.
It's quiet outside. Maybe some folks actually got to sleep through the whole night.
Yeah, you earned your paycheck yesterday.
That's right. Thank you for that. We get paid tomorrow too. So.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Woohoo.
Good information to know.
Hey, you get more here.
That's right. Now if I could just get some more money. So Storm 17 live Doppler radar off to a very quiet start so far this morning. Just a couple of clouds overhead, but no storms to worry about. We had one cold front roll through yesterday. We actually have another one on the way due to arrive a little bit later on this afternoon, heading into the early evening hours. But the second front won't bring us any rain. It'll just reinforce the cool, dry air around town. We are seeing some dense fog already this morning, mainly north of the Caloosahatchee River, so just a heads up there. Visibility down to about a quarter of a mile right now around Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte. So just watch out for that this morning. Mid-50s for the bus stop forecast. Should be nice and sunny outside. Just a little bit of fog here and there. All right, let's talk about Futurecast. These clouds will eventually sail out of here. Looks like by lunchtime, we'll see full-blown sunshine around town. We're going to keep the clock running because no rain to track here on this Wednesday. It's going to be an entirely dry day today. So if you have any outdoor plans, things are looking great around Southwest Florida. Temperatures won't be bad either. We're looking at mid-70s this afternoon, 75 in Fort Myers, 75 down in Naples. Looks like the 75-degree temperature will stay with us Thursday and Friday. Looks like we'll warm up a little bit as we head into the upcoming weekend. Of course, ABC7 is a place you get your forecast every 10 minutes. And coming up, we'll take a look at your 7-day forecast.
This ABC7 traffic alert is sponsored by Sam Galloway Ford. Who can? Sam can. Visit us online at samgallowayford.com.
5:16, looking at traffic. There is no traffic. Get out there and enjoy your Wednesday morning commute.
Well, ladies, if you feel like you're dishing out a lot of money when you shop, you actually might be, at least compared to men. A recent study from the New York Department of Consumer Affairs shows women are being charged more for a lot of everyday items. Take these two yoga bags side by side, no difference except for color, right? They look the same. The pink one, $4 more. ABC7 anchor Gary Brode gets us more on what to be on the lookout for.
As she does every year, Holly Signorelli bought gifts for a less fortunate family.
We got Nikes for everyone.
The presents surprised the children. The price difference surprised Signorelli.
And the shoes for the boy were half of what we paid for the shoes for the girls.
Gender-based pricing is unfortunately all too common.
When it comes to small ticket items, girls and even women, they are very drawn to bling and color.
That's one reason why women are paying more than men. It's called the pink tax. And if you look on Twitter for the hashtag, you'll find items targeting women like razors and even earplugs are marked up. Signorelli, a financial advisor, says in order to pinch a penny, look at the price tag, not the color.
I think the misconception would be that there are deodorants that don't have a scent to them at all. And things like shaving cream, I mean, it doesn't matter.
When we went shopping at large retail stores, we found these discrepancies. While small, they are in a lot of different aisles. The same socks, 50 cents cheaper for men. Or how about these earmuffs, clearly targeting girls $5 more than the same men's earmuffs.
And people are actually uprising against it.
Let's get you more right now. Several states already taking a stand in the so-called pink tax. New York City and California have both outlawed pricing differences based on gender. In California, a violation could get a company a $4,000 fine. Pink tax, so not just an American problem. Gender pricing in France and the UK have also come under scrutiny, leading to an official investigation of that practice in France. And coming up at 6 o'clock this morning, we're getting you more on why some business owners say they charge more.
You've seen a possibility a year ago, a dream that said maybe this could work, and it looks like it's working.
But it's not all smooth sailing. We're getting you more on what the extended bar hours in the Cape could mean in the long run. It's 5:19.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Victoria Carmen. It's high school hoops morning for you in Southwest Florida. One girls team in the state semis and a couple boys teams trying to get there. Plus this.
In an exact second, I'm like, I'm nothing. I'm like, what do I do anymore?
UFC fighter Ronda Rousey breaking down on the Ellen Show. You don't want to miss her courageous moment. Next in sports. The first of our three girls teams made its debut in the state semis last night. Community School of Naples taking on University The first of our 3 girls teams made its debut in the state semis last night. Community School of Naples taking on University Christian in Class 3A. The Seahawks looking for their first state title since 2011. CSN is in the black uniforms. We go second quarter. Seahawks on a 14-0 run. Freshman Maya Justo gets that one to drop. And a little bit later in the first half, Peyton Chur the steal to Justo for the bucket and the bonus. Seahawks still with a double-digit lead. But with Stephanie Paul in foul trouble, that lead would go away. The Georgia signee would only play 16 minutes. Less than 90 seconds to go. Jatavia Tapley, the bucket, the foul. That's the dagger. CSN falls 47-42, but great season for the ladies. Seahawks with another team in the hunt for a state title. The CSN boys squad visited SFCA in the regional semi. CSN with the Dark Unis, they lead 26-13 in the second quarter. Cooper Weiss, some nice moves. He gets the foul, 3-point play. Both teams are moving fast up and down the court. SFC's Caleb Cotto finds Hunter Davis for the score. CSN a little bit too much last night, though. Seahawks advance to the regional finals, 79-64. Collier County Regional Semis, Derek Charles right there, and his Golden Gate Titans hosting Palmetto Ridge. Time winding down in the third quarter. Charles gets the pass and the bucket as time expires, but Palmetto Ridge, 2-point lead heading into the fourth. Bears start off that final quarter hot. Trey Cox on the triple. He had 20 points last night. It's going to come down to the final seconds. Golden Gate needed that one to go. Couldn't get it done. Zach Marstoff couldn't find the rebound. Kind of a sloppy game last night, but hey, Palmetto Ridge survives, advances 39-37.
What am I anymore if I'm not this? And I was literally sitting there and like thinking about killing myself, and that exact second I'm like, I'm nothing. I'm like, what do I do anymore?
She's usually tough and intimidating, but aside of former Ultimate Fighting champ Ronda Rousey, we've never seen on the Ellen Show yesterday. As you heard her say, she thought about killing herself after Holly Holm knocked her out, taking her title. But the current Sports Illustrated swimsuit model says one thing helped her recover.
I looked up and I saw my man, Travis, was standing there, and I was looked up at him, and I was just like, I need to have his babies. I need to stay alive. Being defeated is a choice. Everybody has losses in their life, but I choose to always be undefeated.
Very great message from Rhonda. That'll do it for your morning sports. See you back here 6 and 11 o'clock later tonight. Have a great Wednesday, everybody.
An ABC7 News update for you this morning on the extended bar hours in Cape Coral. Cape Coral police presented new crime stats at last night's city council meeting, but the chief was quick to point out this is all activity they were expecting. Before the program began, the department did a study on what this would mean for crime, the extended hours. He says the numbers are lower than what they expected. Calls for service have only increased by 3% since the program began. But there's a new concern bar owners are trying to get ahead of. Some bars are considering banning biker colors. That's any clothes that identifies someone as part of a motorcycle club or gang. Things like vests and bandanas. While bars stress they welcome the biker community, they say they want to eliminate the problem before it becomes a problem.
It's just been a concern about how we avoid big issues in the future.
If everybody has a no-collar policy, it's equal to everybody, and I think, I don't see any problem with it.
One bar owner we spoke with has already bought a sign urging bikers to leave their colors at the door, but they say they won't put it up unless all the businesses in the area agree to do it too.
Let's get you more right now. Certain cities across the country have extended bar hours. For example, the Miami Entertainment District, bars can serve 24 hours a day. But studies show a number of issues can come up. First, people are willing to drive farther, which for places that means open later. Drunk drivers have a longer drive home then, right? Second, there's an uptick in crashes and violence assaults right after the bars close. That means emergency services are strained and usually understaffed to begin with.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
President Obama taking jabs at presidential hopefuls. Why the two are going head-to-head this morning. Plus,
I was just grabbed my kids and just kept saying, God, just take care of us.
Frightening moments as severe weather slams Southwest Florida. We're getting you more on the latest of the cleanup efforts this morning.
Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Oh, sorry, Rob. 75 degrees today, and the next couple of days should be a beautiful weekend, too. We're back in 2 minutes.
This is News at 5.
Hey, good morning, Southwest Florida. Thank you so much for waking up with us right here on ABC7. I'm Rob Evans.
And I'm Christina Carilla. It's Wednesday, February 17th, and ABC7 meteorologist Cody Murphy has your most accurate forecast in all of Southwest Florida.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, Southwest Florida. No storms to track here on this Wednesday morning.